Okay, so you're that friend, right? The one everyone calls first when things go wrong. You're the listener, the shoulder to cry on, the reliable one. But what if you end up feeling totally drained afterwards? If that sounds familiar, then you're in the right place. We're going to dig into exactly why that happens, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
You know that feeling, right? It's a really specific kind of tired. You hang up the phone or you walk away from a coffee date, and you just feel heavy. And the weirdest part, the problem wasn't even yours to begin with. Well, that feeling, that's not just you being sensitive. It's a huge, flashing sign that something's a little off balance in your friendships.
So let's just give this person a name. Let's call her Sarah. We all know a Sarah. Heck, a lot of us are Sarah. She's the best friend you could ask for. She remembers everything. She gives the best advice. She's always there. The problem is, deep down, she feels like she's just playing a part. Like she's the star of a show called Good Friend, but her own life, her own needs, they're completely off script and totally ignored.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. Because I need you to know that this exhaustion, this space holder's exhaustion, it is not just in your head. Oh no, there's a name for it, and there's some real science, some biology, behind why it feels so, well, so draining.
Okay, this is where it gets fascinating. When you're truly listening to someone, when you're holding space for them, your brain does something kind of wild. It literally starts to mirror their distress. Your stress hormones like cortisol can actually spike right along with theirs. It's called empathic attunement. Think of it like this. Your nervous system is essentially co-experiencing their pain. And while that's an incredible tool for connection, when it's constantly a one-way street, well, you're just soaking up all their stress with no way to wring it out.
So, okay, we've got this invisible work that's literally making us tired. And you might be thinking, is there even a word for this? And the answer is yes. Thankfully, some very smart people have already put a name to it, which is the first step to actually dealing with it. And that word is emotional labor. Now, this term was originally coined way back in 1983 by a sociologist named Arlie Hochschild. She was talking about jobs like flight attendants who have to smile and be pleasant no matter how they're actually feeling. But you know what? The idea has grown. Now we use it to talk about all that unpaid, often unnoticed work we do in our personal lives. You know, the work of keeping track of everyone's feelings, of noticing when someone's a little off, of just managing the emotional temperature of a room.
And this is where we really need to make a distinction, because not all emotional labor is the same. You've got surface acting, that's the forced smile, right? It's exhausting, for sure, because you're hiding how you really feel. But then there's holding space, and this is a whole other beast. You literally can't fake this. You are genuinely taking on their stress. Your nervous system is in it with them. And that means recovering isn't just about dropping the fake smile. It's about finding a way to release all that emotional weight you just took on.
Okay, so maybe this is all starting to sound a little familiar. How can you tell for sure if your friendships are out of balance? Well, I want you to do a quick, honest gut check with me. I've got 3 simple questions for you. Let's call it the friendship asymmetry test.
First question, who initiates? And be really honest with yourself here. If you put your phone down today and just stopped reaching out, would that friendship just fizzle out and disappear? If you feel like you're the engine of the relationship, constantly pushing it forward, well, that's a huge red flag.
All right, question number 2. Who remembers the details? You know all about their big project at work, the name of their annoying cousin, what they're stressed about this week. But do they know what's going on with you? Or do you have to practically send out a press release just to get them to notice you're struggling? True friendship is when you don't have to fight to be seen. And the final question, number 3, who pivots? Oh man, this one is so common. You finally get a little space to share something that's on your mind, something you're struggling with, and bam, they hit you with the, oh, that reminds me of this one time. And just like that, the spotlight is right back on them. It's that conversational hijack. It basically tells you that your story is just an appetizer for their main course.
So, if you just answered me, and yep, me to those questions, first of all, take a deep breath. You're so not alone in this. And second, this isn't because you're a doormat. There are really deep psychological reasons why we find ourselves playing this role over and over again. And a big piece of that puzzle has a name, sociopathy. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's basically a personality trait where you are deeply invested in your relationships. So much so that getting that social acceptance, that feeling of belonging, becomes a top priority. And what happens? You start to put everyone else's comfort and happiness ahead of your own, sometimes without even noticing you're doing it. It's like the engine driving the people-pleasing car.
And look, this stuff doesn't just pop up out of thin air. It often comes from her past. It's a learned skill, really. Maybe as a kid, you had to get really good at reading the room to keep things calm. Or maybe you had to be the little adult, the emotional caretaker for a parent. And sometimes it's just the competence trap. You're just so dang good at being supportive that it becomes your permanent, unpaid job. The key thing to remember here is that this is not a flaw in your character. It's a pattern you learned, probably for a very good reason.
Okay, so this is the big question, right? How do we actually change this script? How do we stop the pattern without feeling like a terrible person or, setting all our friendships on fire? Well, the good news is you don't have to. It can start with something as simple as learning a few new things to say.
Let's start with this one. I call it the not right now script. It's so powerful. You say, I can hear this is really hard for you and I want to listen, but I just don't have the capacity to support you tonight. Can we talk tomorrow? See what that does? It's brilliant. You're not rejecting them. You're not saying your problem doesn't matter. You're saying you matter. And because you matter, I want to listen when I'm actually able to give you my full attention. It's a game changer. Okay, next up, requesting reciprocity. This one can feel a little scary. I get it. But sometimes you have to spell it out. Something like, I love being there for you, and I also need that same support. So when I'm sharing something difficult, what I really need from you is to ask me some follow-up questions. Look, it might feel weird at first, but what you're really doing is giving them a playbook on how to be a good friend to you. It's an act of generosity, really. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. Setting a boundary is not the same thing as abandonment. It's gonna feel uncomfortable at first, for sure. But that discomfort, that's not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's the feeling of you rewriting an old, tired script. You're doing this to make the friendship sustainable so you don't burn out and end up resenting the people you care about.
So what's the end game here? What's the goal of all this hard work? It is absolutely not about becoming cold or building walls around your heart. Not at all. The goal is to move beyond one-sided work and toward real, authentic, two-way connection.
And honestly, the amazing researcher Brené Brown just nails it with this. She says vulnerability is about sharing our feelings and our experiences with people who have earned the right to hear them. That part is so key, earned the right. Real connection, the good stuff, it's not you being a 24/7 crisis hotline for someone else. It's mutual. It's a place where both of you get to be vulnerable, where both of you get to be seen. It's a two-way street, not a one-way where you're just paying all the emotional tolls. Because at the end of the day, a friendship that lasts isn't about one person constantly putting out the other's fires. It's about two people building something warm and safe together. So I'll leave you with this question. What's one small, maybe even tiny,